Hello everyone, Darren here, and today's video is a bit of a different sort of video. Today I'd like to try an experiment, and depending on how successful this is, I may make more of these. Today I would like to present a portion of my wish list of tanks I'd like to see brought into the game. Now before I begin, I would like to make it clear on a couple things. First is that this list is World War II mode specific, as that is the only mode I play. Because of this, I do not care if any tanks I list are or go into multiple modes. I'm not obligated to purchase anything for a mode I do not play, and if they add two different versions, then more for everyone, I only need to buy the one that I want. Secondly, I will not be discussing any actual balancing. This is merely a wish list, and I will leave the balancing bridge to the devs to cross when or if they ever decide to add any of these tanks. Plus, if I went into balance, we probably would be here all day. So, without further ado, let's get started into the wish list. Now, starting off from South America, we have the Nahuel DL43. I apologize if I butchered that name. And this tank comes out of Argentina. This was one of Argentina's indigenous tank designs whose influence stemmed from the M3 Lee and the M4 Sherman. From this influence that you can see in the profile and its 75mm armament, I do believe that this tank does deserve to get a spot as a Tier 5 tank, probably in the American premium tech tree, and bring some spotlight to our tanking community friends south of the equator. Keeping with the South American theme, we move on to my next tank on my wish list. Coming out of Chile, we have the M24 Chaffee with a 60mm hypervelocity gun. This was Chile's way of keeping their M24 Chafees in service by equipping them with an Italian 60mm anti-tank gun. Seeing these are firmly World War II era tanks, with guns that realistically have the same penetration as 105mm L7s and not some super modern gun or round, I do think that this tank would fit well in Tier 7, though some may argue that it would fit just as well in Tier 8 alongside its other Chaffee upgrade counterpart, the Panzerjäger. Staying with Chilean tanks, we have the Chilean M60 Sherman. Like the M24 Chaffee I just mentioned, this is a World War II M4 Sherman that has been equipped with the same 60mm anti-tank gun. The combination of old tech with a punchy gun does make placement a bit tricky, seeing of course we have like Shermans like the Revolurise and the M51 that do see tiers 9 and 10. I do think that this tank could find a home in tier 7 as well, or even tier 8 alongside the tanks that I already mentioned. So these next couple tanks come from the eastern side of the Iron Curtain in Yugoslavia. First up, we have a tank already in the game, so I won't really touch on it too much. This is the M636 Condor, found in Era 1. It's a tank that I really wanted to see added to the game at some point, seeing as it's using World War II tech, and I wanted to see it added as a Tier 7 or 8, seeing as it would fit well there. But I was really upset to see that they added only to Era 1. And honestly, I do hope that they come around to adding this unique design of a tank to the classic mode soon, like they did with a couple others already. So next up we have a bit of a crazy one. This is the SO-122. This is an M4 Sherman that is equipped with a Soviet D-25T 122mm gun. I know we have many IS tanks in the game already, and the same can be said for Shermans, but come on, who wouldn't want to see added to the game the Firefly's eastern cousin that does nothing but go to the gym and get swole and talk about how swole he is? Now, because of the different 122mm guns found in the mid-tiers, I believe this tank can find a place in Tier 7 or even Tier 8 if we want to model it after some of like the IS-6s and 8s and all that other fun bazillion Russian heavy tanks that exist already. Now, next up, we have a couple Russian TDs. And before you start, don't worry, none of them are crazy. Unless, of course, you really hate the E25 for some reason. For the first one, we have the ZIS-30. This is a small sniping tank destroyer equipped with a long-barreled 57mm gun. There's not much else to say other than it's a neat little Soviet tank destroyer that I think would fit very well in tiers 3 or 4. Perhaps even it could be a little gift tank destroyer to shake up the, I guess, gift meta of giving us light tanks every Christmas. Now, second to last, we have the ASU-57. This is another small little tank destroyer that was armed with a 57mm gun. However, as you can see from the photos, it looks probably to be as small as the E-25, if not possibly actually smaller. Well, that's because it was designed as a support tank for Russian paratroopers. Now, because of its size and gun, I do think this could fit quite comfortably in Tier 6 as maybe even a counter to the E-25 that has made a name for itself as the cockroach. Now for the last item on the list, only regards to this video that I have, of course. You guessed it, a Centurion. But not some wacky Centurion, no. At Tier 10, I would like to see the Centurion Mark 13. Why this specific tank? Well, it's the last upgrade of the Centurions from the UK, and it made sense to me that it should be a Tier 10 tank. Personally, I have a very strong desire to see this tank have specific elements and features added to the model, so if they do ever get around to adding this, I sincerely hope that they at least let me propose some stuff I'd like to see on the model, even though I know very well that that won't likely happen. And there you have it. Just a very small snippet from my large list of tanks that I'd like to see added to Classic Mode. I'd like to hear your thoughts on my list, and if you agree or disagree with any of these, of course, just remember that these are personal desires that I'd like to see added to the game. There is no other thing behind it other than, of course, the Centurions, because I want more of those. If you feel that I missed some that would be epic to see added to the game, let me know, of course. And if you want to see what else is on my list, hit that thumbs up and let me know in the comments. And if the same goes for you want to torture me and force me to try and pull my hair out to find tanks that I think would be cool to add to Cold War mode, of course, let me know as well. And to see those future videos, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. But until next time, this has been Darren with WotC Academy.